What would your life look like if all really meant all? Greetings and welcome to the Dangerous Gentleman podcast. Yes, I am the Dangerous Gentleman. No, I did not give myself that nickname, but I certainly did earn it. Before we answer the question that we started with, I just want to thank everyone who's been listening and watching lately. We're starting to get some momentum. Like the Christmas episode that I did really touched a lot of people. And so I'd appreciate it if you could like and comment and share these episodes so that more people could be touched. So what would your life look like if all really meant all? So today I had several topics that I was considering talking about. And I just couldn't really get settled on any one of them. And then this morning I woke up and I was thinking about some stuff and I was looking around my house and just started to really think about, like, there's some spots in my life that aren't quite up to where I want them to be. They don't fit my normal standards. And so I was journaling. Before I jump into the answering that question, I'm going to actually just read my journal entry from today. I was thinking about this. And so today, 12:15, you're going to get this episode in a couple days, but I was writing this on Sunday. I know it's the holiday season, but today is a day to get back on track for me. And it's a great time to set the tone and get some things going for the new year, to build some momentum. Specifically for me, that means that I'm going to get back on my macro plan. I've been slacking on my diet the last few days, having a few too many treats. So today I'm getting back on my plan. I'm going to spend an hour cleaning and folding laundry because when I woke up this morning, there's laundry on my chair that needs to be folded. It hasn't been for a couple days. And there's some dishes in the sink. Normally I don't like to let that happen, but I've been slacking a little bit. Yes, it's Sunday and it's the Lord's Day, which is super important to me. But that doesn't mean I get to slack off. It means I offer it to Him, honor Him with it, and do all to bring Him glory in it. I need to keep this in mind more and more every day. Sometimes I forget. We all forget. Too many areas I have been living below what He has for me. Some of these are obvious, like the ones I mentioned. My house not being clean, me not stewarding my time, my finances, business has been a little slow. So that's the kind of things that it's starting to show up in. Some are less obvious, like the little things that I've been letting slide that seem like they're not that big a deal, but to me, in the long run, I know what they mean. Imagine if I lived every day in every way to His standard. Now, you may be wondering, like, where does God talk about this? Well, there's a couple of powerful scriptures that I would like to just read and present to you, because there's a lot of people who don't think that some of these things that I'm talking about matter, right? They're not really sin. But just let me read these scriptures and we'll expound on them a little bit. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, "So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God." All. Colossians 3:17, "And whatever you do, in word or deed, do everything, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, giving thanks to God the Father through Him." All. Everything. It doesn't just say the big stuff. It doesn't just say sexual sin. It doesn't just say anger. It doesn't just say greed or sloth or any of those things. It says all, everything. And so what words, what actions, what thoughts does that not include? What is not included in all and everything? All and everything. All means all. Everything means everything. The big stuff and the small stuff. How we present ourselves. Like if we go out to public and we look sloppy, we're not setting an example of what God has for us. Right? If we're constantly going to the grocery store and we're wearing pajamas to the grocery store, like, have a little bit of self-respect. I'm not saying every single time. If you got to run to the grocery store to get baby formula at 2 o'clock in the morning, doesn't mean you have to get all dressed. But there's too much casualness. Too much casualness, not in society, yes, but even in the church. People show up to church wearing shorts, t-shirts. That's not how I grew up. That's not how I honored God. I don't wear shorts to church. I barely wear shorts, period, but that's a whole different thing. But that's not really what we're here to talk about. But we're supposed to do everything, even like how we drive. If you're a jerk, if you're an asshole as you drive around, is that setting a very good example? So my pastor, he talks about because he gets a little road ragey sometimes, and he says he'll do something. If someone will piss him off while he's driving, and he'll speed up around him, zip in front of him. And then he has to remember that he has a church bumper sticker on the back of his car. And it reminds him, oh, even when I'm driving, I have to keep things in mind. I mentioned when I first started that my house hasn't been as clean as it needs to be. And you may not think that that's a big deal. But to me, that's a sign of some things that are slacking. And some things are not quite right what they're supposed to be. There's something wrong up here. There's something wrong between me and God that's allowing me to get to the place where I'm slacking in some of these little things. How we eat, how we take care of our bodies, how we exercise, how we take care of our time, how we steward the things that God's given us. All means all. We're supposed to take care of all of those things. We should be, every activity that we're a part of, we should be giving our best effort. That doesn't mean showing up late to things. That doesn't mean giving a half-ass effort. That means when we go to work, we show up and we get there early and we stay until our work is done and we do a good job. We don't sit there on our computer and slack off or do a bunch of other stuff. It means that we give our all in everything we are doing. When we are at the gym, we're treating anyone and everyone else at the gym with kindness and respect. We're not leaving a mess behind. We're not treating people rudely at the gym. We're not treating people rudely anywhere, because everywhere we go, we are supposed to be an example of Christ. Now, for me, my tendency is when I start to let one thing go, other stuff starts to go. And for me, it often starts like, oh, well, I'm just going to eat this cheeseburger or eat this food that's not on my diet. And then I'm like, okay, well, since I ate that little bit, I'm going to also have this. And then I get home and then I'm too hyped up on sugar or whatever, and then I can't sleep. So then I sleep in the next morning. So then I don't make it to the gym, and I'm running behind on my way to work, and I don't end up doing the dishes from the night before, and I don't end up taking out the garbage, and then I slacken off at work. And so one thing leads to another, right? How you do one thing is how you do everything. How you do one thing is how you do all. It's how you do everything. So I really have to keep on track, because my tendency, even though I can be very disciplined, my nature is to be sloppy, to be lazy, and to just let things go, and to be fat. That fat, lazy pervert that I've talked about before. Like, I have to fight against that. And so if I even just let a little bit go, it all goes. And even for me, it has a lot to do with my time, right? My time. So I'll sit down to take a few minutes, because I'll just relax when I get home from work. And there's stuff to do around my house, and I'll be like, well, I'm just going to take a few minutes on my phone. And I'll start to scroll. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Shorts. They're only a minute long. It shouldn't take too long. Pretty soon it's 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, and I got stuff to do. But now I'm 20 minutes into whatever it is that I'm doing, and it's not even productive. Could you imagine if we just took all of that time that we spend scrolling on our phone? We go to the bathroom, what do? We pull out our phone. It's just instinct anymore. Right? I've challenged myself to not always reach into my pocket and pull out my phone when I'm going to the bathroom. Because 30 seconds turns into 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then I'm behind. And I get out of the bathroom and people are like, where you been, man? What are you doing? And I got patients waiting and all these things. It's not a good example. And could you imagine if you took all those 5 minutes, all those 10 minutes, all those 15, 20 minutes, and you actually started to apply them to the big stuff then? Rather than spending a few minutes scrolling on your phone before bed, what if you just got up and made sure all the dishes were done? What if you washed the mirror? 2 minutes to wash the mirror in your bathroom. Or to sweep the kitchen floor. Whatever it is, read your Bible. Rather than constantly pulling out your phone. Or whatever it is that you do to distract yourself. Play video games or whatever it is that you do. Right? We're constantly distracting ourselves. Could you imagine if one day you woke up early, like when you wanted to get up, and rather than hitting the snooze button, you got right out of bed, and rather than going to sit and scroll for 20 minutes on your phone, you packed your lunch, you got dressed, and you got out the door early, and you made it to work on time, and then you busted your ass at work all day. And you had the same mindset all throughout the day. Rather than like allowing anything to distract you from what you were doing, you just kept doing one thing after another. And you pushed and you pushed and you pushed. I know for me, this is something that I learned this summer as I was doing some work on business stuff. Like, I distract myself on purpose. It was really helpful because like the reason that I distract myself is because I'm avoiding doing something. Whether it's something that's difficult or if it's just something I don't want to do or if it's something I don't like, right? I'm distracting myself from it. So I'm working on building up the habit of like when I find myself being distracted, I ask myself, what am I distracting myself from? And when I'm really on it, it's like, oh, what am I distracting myself from? And then I go do that thing, whatever it is. Right? Could you imagine if you just lived your life that way? How much further along would you be if you just maximized every moment? Now, I'm not saying that sitting and doing a little relaxation and just unwinding every once in a while isn't okay, because it's perfectly okay to kind of just release some stuff every once in a while. But we use it as an excuse over and over and over again. All means all. All to the glory of God. Everything in the name of the Lord. We are constantly an example to other people. If we're slacking in our job and then our fellow employees are watching us and they find out that like we go to church, but here we are slacking in our job, or we're always late, or we're fat, or we're out of shape, or we're unhealthy. How much of an example is that to Christ? Like, too often people make excuses these days. Oh, yeah, I read my Bible and I'm great and I go to church. Cool. There was this idea that was going around in the early church. It was called Gnosticism. And it was actually something I talked about in a sermon series I did this last summer. But Gnosticism is this idea that there's this separation between the spirit and the body, right? And the ultimate aim, the ultimate goal is to have this powerful spiritual life, and that the physical part of your life, the body, is not something to worry about, right? You should make this separation between spirit and body. Well, that's not biblical. So there's this move right now. Like, there's a lot of Christians right now that are criticizing young men who go to the gym and they work out and they're getting strong and they're trying to get, big muscles and be masculine. And they think there's something wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it, because we're supposed to do it all, right? God gave us the ability to be excellent in everything that we do. So when we slack off, we're not being the example that God has for us. Hi, Babs. Babs. She's making her appearance. And so, anyway, try not to let her be too much of a distraction. I love her. Her brother's right over there. His name is Taz. He never comes on camera. Anyway, all means all, right? whether you're at the gym, what you're eating, what you put into your body, your habits, your kitchen, your bedroom, your bathroom, your car, your attitude, your relationship, your work. It's all a reflection of who God is. We don't have the luxury of allowing ourselves to slack. And I realized I'd been doing that. And so I wanted to talk about that today because I want to be open and I want to be honest with you about the struggles that I have. Yes, I am the dangerous gentleman, right? But even the dangerous gentleman has flaws. Plenty of them. I work on these things all the time, and people call things to my attention all the time. I got good men in my life who are calling me out, right? And so all means all. So I want to issue a challenge. One of them is little and very specific and very practical, very doable for anybody. And it may seem silly, but it's going to be surprisingly difficult. Next time you go to the bathroom, leave your phone in your pocket, or leave your phone in your office or in your room. Leave it in the other room, maybe. Don't take that time. Just go in there, take care of business, leave your phone in your pocket, or don't even pull it out or whatever. It's going to be surprisingly difficult because I've challenged myself to do this, and still my instinct is to reach into my pocket, grab my phone. Just leave it in there. That's not what you're there for. The other thing is just take a few minutes and write down what your life would look like if your entire day you were maximizing your time. If you were doing everything that you were supposed to. Everything from dishes being done, laundry folded, bills paid, food prepped and packed for tomorrow, whatever it is that you do, right? Imagine a perfect day for you if you were living like all means all. If you want to, write it down. If not, at least make it a thought exercise. Spend 5 to 10 minutes just imagining what an entire day would look like if you really believed that all meant all. What would it change? How would it look different? How would it look the same? So, I hope you got something out of that. I'm speaking directly out of the heart. I'm speaking directly out of things that are in my personal life right now. And so, I just want to challenge you with that. All means all. We're going into holiday season, and it's a great time to get some new habits and new stuff started. So if you want to reach out to me, check out my social media down in the episode description. Follow me, send me a message, shoot me a chat, whatever it is. I'd be happy to talk. We'll see you later.
So if you like this content, please give it a rating, a review, and share it with your friends. Also, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about me and what I'm all about and what I can maybe do for you, check out my website at thedangerousgentleman.org. That's thedangerousgentleman.org. Thank you for listening.